What's going on, man?
How you doing?
Another beautiful week, you know. Ready to get after it. Let's go. What about you, man?
Crazy.
That's what I'm talking
Madness.
about. Madness.
Always.
That's life.
I do got
Life.
Mondays off now, though.
Oh, really? Like
do.
for indefinitely, or?
But I don't know about indefinitely.
So you said you're hanging out with me Monday morning?
Yeah, dude, we can do like the
Oh my gosh.
the bag things, right? Like you were talking about. Like,
hit
me up.
mitts. Yeah, he said bag things. You want to hit my bags? No.
Yes.
100%. Yeah, I'm definitely down. I'd love to hit mitts with you, man.
I can
That'd
finally
be
work
sick.
out with you now.
100%. That sounds like
give
a
me a
plan.
shave. I still got some time. I got like 117 days before the wedding.
100%. Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
can you make things happen?
We can definitely make things happen.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, actually, we got my buddy Randy Staken coming on today.
Oh.
And I always say his name terribly wrong. He's going to beat me up for that
Stanky?
one. Steinke.
Stanky.
Steinke is how you say his name. Randy
I kind of like
Steinke.
it. Like,
Yeah,
That's
100%.
Steinke.
It sounds good that way, right? Like, yeah, he just got that stanky that stanky technique, baby. So, he's been my coach for a long time. One of my striking coaches forever.
Yeah.
I mean, world-renowned guy. Is just a genius, you know. Been a very big part of my my build, my character. So, he's going to come on the show today. And honestly, that's what going back to your mitt holding. Yeah, he holds mitts for me. So
Does
he'd
he?
probably be even he'd be a better option for you than even me. Because I mean, I got some things, but he got
not
the
like
real
stank?
thing. Yeah, not like stank. His don't stank. Mine stank.
Oh, stank.
Yeah, exactly.
His stank, your stank.
100%.
Yeah, right.
Let's go ahead and bring it in.
Make the intro.
Heck yeah. Good to see you as well, brother.
Let's go.
There's the buy-in. Oh, that was a good one. I like it.
Be the backhand.
Yeah. Oh, it's getting pretty close.
I want a pint. Give me the pint. How many times did you hit that so far?
Never. That was the first one. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, man.
And good for you. You kind of get to do the quality stuff. You get to chug a pint of the good stuff,
it
man.
good?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you remember you had
seltzer or is it beer?
Yeah, the seltzer.
I didn't know.
I think the seltzer hurt you the first
I'll
time,
do
right?
tequila if it's on, whatever
Whoa.
you need.
Oh, he
Chug
said
a
the
tequila.
pint.
I went to
A
a
pint of
tequila
tequila?
factory in Guadalajara and we were drinking the whole weekend, man. That stuff's like water now. I think I'm pretty immune to it.
Are you?
That's intense.
Not the seltzer yet, though.
No.
Yeah, he told me the seltzer
No,
put him out,
that
man.
one put me out, dude.
The LFA fight that you had against the Diaz guy. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
I think by the last pint, he leaned over the bar. He wanted one more, and I was like, I don't know about that big
That's
guy.
a lie.
He was like, I'll give you two, as a matter of
Yeah.
I know how
fact.
to handle my seltzers.
So don't let him play you guys.
Yeah, no, he was
good,
pretty. Yeah, we got you pretty litty
It's
titty,
different,
man.
It's hard. It's dangerous when you don't taste the alcohol.
You
in it.
don't.
It reminded me of being a kid who used to make like a yucca bucket where you stick like ice, lemons, and sugar, and just pour vodka in it.
Whoa.
You didn't taste any of just straw for the whole whoever's drinking out of it. That's before COVID.
They don't know
Way
anything about
before
that.
Way.
I know
But
that's
man,
so.
you didn't taste the alcohol. You just get
No.
so drunk, man.
Yeah.
You didn't taste it's dangerous.
I mean, but you were having a great time.
Yeah.
I just had to tap you out. You know what I'm saying? That's my tap out. I don't get
not
the
on my
submission.
record,
I'm like, yeah.
He's like, is it official? Can you look it up online? It didn't happen.
It was definitely official.
I don't know. I need video footage of it. That's
Welcome
hilarious.
in, man.
Thanks, it's
yeah,
fun, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know it was here. I parked like pretty far away, and I start walking. I'm like, pretty sure they have parking at the Celtics.
Yes, we do.
I went there before.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
great.
Well, I mean, it's good to see you again. Yeah. Coming back off. I mean, we're like a little bit removed from the fight. So you had to be pretty excited, pretty happy.
Yeah. It's only been a couple days, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we get back yesterday, early morning. Spent the day with the family, and then Monday back in the gym this morning.
Yeah.
So
Good stuff, man.
hasn't been too
Congratulations
long.
to the
Still
team.
Feeling it.
Yep.
Still feeling a little bit. It's
Yeah.
good.
Congratulations
Thinking
to
about
the
it.
team.
Thanks, brother. It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So you hold mitts for this guy. So what's kind of like your area? What's your so are you an active fighter as well, or are you just more on the coaching
not
side?
as much in the past couple of years. I think it's been about 2.5 years since I fought. I had a boxing match. I think it was July of last year, and then I think I plan on competing again. It's just I'm having fun coaching, man. We've got such a good rapport at the gym, and we're building something. Me and Rob and Crouch and all the other coaches that are helping, like Mikey helps with the wrestling. It's got a good dynamics, man. And I feel like the things that I'm doing and the things that Rob are doing too are really helping. So I feel like that's what's keeping me away. I can't speak for him. Keep me away from competing as much. I come in, I spar with the guys, but I remember what it takes to really step away and do this full time, and something would suffer, whether it was the team practice and the training. Someone would have to step in and fill my shoes. I feel like, you could do both, but I wouldn't be happy with what I was getting on either side of it. I want to be fully committed to one.
I got you. So how did your career go?
Wasn't bad. I started out really young. I started out like a 2007, had my first fight. it was really old. Like there was no weight classes and stuff. I had zero amateur fights, went right into the pro scene. Yeah, just, you know, the people that are around coaching and stuff in some of the areas, not all of them. There was guys like the Lab and Greg Jackson's, but those gyms were few and far between. So you just had pop-up gyms and stuff like that. And just not guided the best in the beginning.
I got you.
But no excuses. I learned so much from those. And that's what I try to teach to these guys is get a good amateur career, get a good feel. Don't let anyone talk you into some things that, you know, the people around you don't think you're ready for because like, you know, you ask Marcus, you know, Marcus is amateur, I'm an amateur, we're fighters. If you ask me if I want to fly to Brazil and go fight someone, I'm probably going to say, yeah, that's who I am. That's the guy you want. But it's the coach's job and the people around you to kind of pave those ways a little more so you're growing as a fighter. That's what we're seeing nowadays, I think. Like, and that's why guys are getting groomed the right way. A lot of prospects can get their growth stunted, I feel like, you know, just jumping into things that they're not quite ready for. You know, and I feel like in the guys my time zone of fighting, you've seen that a little bit more. But now, man, guys are, you know, you see the importance of a pro record. You got to be undefeated or have a good record if you want to make any type of money at this type of thing. I think my record's like, I think it's like 20-11, something like that.
Oh, wow.
It's not the best, but it's a lot of fights.
Hey, 20 wins, man. Are you kidding me? That's extremely impressive.
Yeah, but, you know, we'd rather not see those 11s, and I see that 11, those losses could have been avoided, but it's just minor mistakes that you experience for your first time in a pro fight or pro feeling, you know, not being in the gym where we are now with the type of guidance and coaching and, you know, not just technique, but
different organizations too. Like, you know, cause like, again, like you were saying in different time periods, that was the thing back in the day too. It was just like, there wasn't as many organizations out there. There wasn't as many opportunities out there. So every opportunity was like, jump on it. Right. Because I mean, even the UFC wasn't even really booming that as nowhere near what they're booming now, you know? It wasn't the site for that. So you guys were just out here just getting after it, you know, in a similar way to boxing, but without the clout that boxing actually has. So, I mean, you're kind of, and again, I always told you this, and I always think about it, like you're a pioneer, you know, you're 100%. A pioneer in the MMA world, regardless of record and all those other things like that. You're a pioneer in it. There's not many people that have been around since 2006, 2007 doing this, and then doing it at the highest level that you've been doing. I mean, you've coached multiple, or you've cornered for multiple belt fights, you know, for Henry Cejudo, for I can't think of the other ones that you're
Benson, Henry.
Benson, Henry. Yep. I could have sworn there's one female as well. Jocelyn? You cornered for Jocelyn RFA.
Oh yeah, we had RFA titles. Well. Yeah, we took the belt from Zuela Frosto, CSA. They were killing it at the time. Yep. Yeah, you know, I just feel like I just never quit. You know, the coaching never, like going coaching full time at a younger age never really was a thought. It's just when I was over there, when I moved to Mesa, I had the opportunity to meet Henry over at Fight Ready, and we started training together, and he made me realize a lot of qualities that I had as a coach that I didn't even realize. And he's explaining like, yeah, man, a lot of guys can't do that. A lot of guys can't do this, and kind of point out a lot of qualities that I had. And I kind of just, you know, kept attacking those. And we had title fight win against TJ. Well, I was helping him for the Demetrius 2 fight. I wasn't in the corner, but I was there part of it. And that's where I really just probably fell in love with teaching, you know what I mean, coaching. And I was making a little more money and able to spend time with the family coaching and stuff. And man, I've just fell in love with it. I love teaching guys, finding what's wrong. You know, there's some things we should all know. It's like guideline, but everyone's got their own style, and you have to be able to bring that out of them. You know what I mean? And that's what I think I'm focusing on now. Is just like seeing a guy, strengths, weaknesses. You have to bring his strengths out, and you have to close those gaps in the weak areas. You know. But some guys just trying to teach everything that everyone's doing. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, this is working. It's gonna work for you too. Don't worry, it'll work the same way.
You can't teach the heavyweights the way you teach the bantamweights. Yeah. You know, as far as the fight game.
No, I love that. Yeah. You know, he called you like a pioneer, and having that old school kind of mentality, that brawl style. You said you're bringing it into the new era. I mean, that goes for, even just like mentors and life coaches. They've gone through things, life experiences to be able to shape and mold, you know, the newer generation. There's things that, like, you know, even for just my 23-year-old sister, you know, she was born in 99, I was born in 91, but a lot of that, like, just say like electronics, even, I didn't deal with a lot of those. She dealt with it a lot more than I have. Big difference, yeah. And I love that you're bringing that type of mentality, because it, to me, it would go further than just the mitts, right? You're bringing in experiences that no one else will ever have.
That's what it is, experiences, right? You talk about, you just got to let these guys know what they're going to feel, what you're going to go through, what we're going to, what we're going to encounter a little bit. I feel like that goes a long ways. Because I always love that when I go do anything, like you go see a physical therapist or someone who's going to work on your car, you don't just take your keys and say, see you later. They go, hey, man, I'm going to run into this, and you might want to take a look at this. You know what I mean? It kind of gives you a heads up on things.
Yep.
And that's what I really appreciate. I like coaching though, man. It's fun. I like doing it with the people that I'm doing it with. I did it with a group of guys that I wasn't, just didn't appreciate me, and I didn't appreciate the situation, but that's all growth and learning. But I feel like the things that I'm able to do, and again, pointed out to me, not things I recognize, and I'm able to teach it and break it down. I'm able to do it, right? And I'm able to show you how to do it almost. Like I can do it in sparring, the things that I'm teaching, and I can break down the little details, right? And kind of learn how to teach it people individually. And I feel like it's something that not everyone can do. And I didn't realize that until a couple guys that I train, kind of relay that to me. Because a lot of guys, because telling isn't teaching. I have to show you how to do it.
Top tier coach.
And then I need you to watch me do it.
Especially fighters. You know, a lot of times they get so knuckleheaded. They're like, no, it doesn't work unless I see it work against me. And I'm like, so from the outside in, I've seen Randy. I've seen guys come in the gym, not know who Randy is. And he'll go up to him. He comes in for sparring. He's like, hey, I'm a coach here. Yeah. Oh, let's do a round. And you can see in their eyes, they're like, oh, you're a coach. I'm going to do a round with you. Bet. And then he starts pulling out of his toolbox, Paragon,
arsenal,
all the Paragon striking. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it doesn't matter if he's fast, quick, strong, any of those above. Watch this.
It shows you the experience. So, because I don't do the things I used to. I don't go in and run the sprints every morning like I used to. And I don't go in and lift. And I don't make every practice like I did for 10 years at a time. But I'm still learning, and it just shows you the experience and the knowledge of what 100%. You're doing, understanding the timing. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to show these guys. I feel like it's not just the combo, it's the distance, and it's the understanding of what just happened and what's probably going to happen next a little bit, right? You have to, a little bit of anticipation, but not too much, right?
I think that's what we appreciate too, because on the outside in, when you do go in there and spar with somebody, it's not that you are, it's not that you're just physically a specimen and that you hit it. It's that you're not doing those things, and yet you're landing all these things. So it's like, if this guy can come in here and do this to me, and I'm supposed to be the professional athlete who's competing on the level that I'm competing, and he's coming in and hitting these on me, I can hit these on other people.
And it's the basic stuff. It's nothing crazy. It's just timing. You're seeing it more and more now with feints and pulls and understanding which way you're circling, and and it's a lot. I love it, man. I lose sleep over it a lot because I just enjoy it. But
so how did you find the lab, if you don't mind me asking? So what so what led you to this and at least this little connection here. So
this didn't come from the lab, actually.
It's not coming from the lab.
Pre-lab.
Pre-lab.
But I used to live up north in Payson, Arizona, and I would drive down all the time and train jiu-jitsu at Arizona Combat. Gustavo Dantes was like the gym. They were the first, not first MMA gym, I would say, but the ones doing it the right way. Getting the guys in the UFC like Ryan Bader, CB Dollaway, John Moraga, all of those guys came from that gym.
Really?
Yeah. And it was together. I drove down 3 times a week and was training. And then I wanted to start doing MMA, and I ran into another gym that was over in Tempe area. Drove down all the time, meet them, train with them. And then one day, those guys over at that gym, that was Southwest Mixed Martial Arts, South Santino DeFranco, drove us over to the lab one day. It was 2012, and I met John and met just John and Ben and Chris Gritzmacher at the time. And then, slowly but surely, everyone kind of stopped going to Southwest, and everyone just kind of stayed migrated there. So when I was driving down, I started going back to Southwest, and I noticed that none of those guys were really there anymore. And I'm like, where are they? They're all at the lab. So it was a shorter drive for me. So I started driving down and seeing John, and I go back and I tell my ex-wife now, man, we need to move down there. Like, if I'm going to do this, we need to move down. And we moved down in 2012. And went on like a 7-8 fight win streak. I adopted the whole thing, the whole system they had, man. Like, strength and conditioning Monday, jiu-jitsu Tuesday. I just did what was on the schedule and just fell in love with it. I had so much at my disposal, right? And started working at the UFC gym. I got a job with Joe Riggs, gave me a job at the UFC gym over there on 35th and Greenway.
And that's where we met.
That's where we met. He was training with a gentleman named Alan, right?
Oh, no, Aaron Favors.
Yeah, gentleman Aaron Favors. And then And then Aaron brought him in, and they were just, did he bring you in? Or you just kind of came in?
I was working at Circle K across the street, so I had already gone in, but Aaron was like, he's the one that took me under his wing, because you know how it was back then over that time,
Yeah, like you said, garage training and shit.
And I didn't have any money to really pay for any of the extra training, so I didn't have anybody guiding me in these ways. I just would show up, and whoever was there to train with is whoever I was there to train with,
So you came in, and when I first met you on the team, I always remember seeing Aaron there by your side.
Yep.
And training with us. Tim Welch worked there at the time. Sean O'Malley would always come in with Tim because they always rolled together. So Kyler worked there as a kids jiu-jitsu coach, and I was running a little team. It was a cardio kickboxing gym, but we built a little team over there. Yep. And I shit you not, man, it was in like the same amount of area you see this podcast in, like a corner cage, and then a boxing ring. And we had like a little team of like 10 guys. We were doing stuff, and I would come from the lab. I had already been training at the lab, so I would come from the lab, and I'd run this team, and I see Marcus, and I'd see Talon, and I'd be like, hey man, this place is great. I'm glad you're here, but like you need to be here. And it's like, yeah. And I went on for a long time. Yeah. 2 years?
About 2 years, yeah.
Probably 2 years. We just kept
2 years
talking. And I never really cornered Marcus a lot. He had his little team, but he would come in and they would learn with us, and we train, and he'd have his fights, and he was doing well with Aaron, and I think Shannon helped you a couple of times, right? Shannon was kind of involved with
Shannon
Aaron.
Rich.
Yeah, Shannon Rich. And then, I moved to Mesa after a while, and after a while, I just kind of wondered what happened, and I see they were both kind of at the lab, and I've been talking for years, like, hey, it's time to go to the lab, and you go to the lab, you want to get better, you need to go to the lab, and they wanted to. It's just, you have friendships and you have things, it's hard to break off, and, it's a money thing too, so there was a lot of moving parts. And then when I ended up, my grandmother passed away in Mesa, I went and moved into her home and took care of some stuff. I looked over and saw that they were moving into the lab full time, and I was great, awesome, man. They were adopted everything. Talon was killing it. Talon was training his ass off. And then Marcus just made this a full-time gig not quite a year ago, right? No?
Yeah, about a year ago.
Was it about a year ago now?
Yeah.
Because I got back to the gym right around COVID time. Okay. When things changed, I sold the house, moved back over here, which was always the plan, was to come back to the lab. And the things have just been great, man.
That's awesome.
You've seen him. He'll tell you, we talk all the time, him and Crouch talk, just in his ear constantly about, hey, man, I know this job and this career is great. And it's hard because he's got kids and you got family. You want to be like, hey, dude, just quit all that shit and come in here. It's like, yeah, I really want to, but that's a lot, man. It's a lot. And we get it. And then eventually it just, everything kind of happened with that dispensary you're working at and everything. And I think everything kind of happened for a reason. And it's just been our relationship and friendship, and his training relationship with the gym has just gone up since, because you see him more.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're just around more, it's just no way to get closer and get better and understand, like, we always kind of been like, what's the term? I've never quit this full time, whether it was fighting or coaching. I've never had a real job.
Yeah.
Ever. I made that a point. I didn't want to get a real job. I want to manage my schedule, and I want to make money, even if I'm just coaching Susie and Jane and whatever it was. And then, Marcus was in a different position. He had a career and knowledge in the cultivating in the marijuana company, and that pays big. So it was always like me here, hey man, you got to get in here, you got to get on it. And he'd do his thing, and he's in. But every time he was in, you were just like, oh, he was great for this guy. He was great for himself. As you felt the energy that Marcus brought. And then he knew it was something he had to do. It's just finally all those moving parts kind of fell into where, I wouldn't say you were forced, but you were kind of at a position where you had to make a choice. Yeah. No, and you were like, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to be able to ever.
100%.
And it's just been like fucking fireworks since.
Yeah. So from that beginning part where he made the full-time jump, we talked about that a few times, to now, getting that first big victory. I mean, talk to me about that. What have you seen? Where was he then? Where is he now? I mean, even through that middle part, like, you talk about, bringing in your style of coaching, being around the right type of people, having the training, buying into what you guys have established as a coaching system, but also now a personal relationship. Yeah. There's a lot to balance. There's a lot to go through on that. So how did that all go from the beginning till now?
Well, he's never really changed, and he's always been pretty disciplined. He's like, even to today, we can be backstage before the fight, and I'm telling him something. He's saying, yes, sir, yes, coach. Like, that's a quality you have to have, and that's been there from the beginning. And I want it the same way. If he stops and says something to me and breaks it, I'm gonna say, yes, sir. Like, that's just showing that I acknowledge what you do, and that's in life for him, right? Like, I have guys that are really, really good right now, I could say things to and point out, and it doesn't resonate the same. They don't respond the same, right? That's being a good student. Your cup's always empty.
For sure.
You always empty your cup, right? You got to take information in and digest it yourself. But if you're with someone that you trust and they're telling you things, you empty your cup. And I feel like that's something he's always been able to do well. And he's always been determined. There's just been a lot of things, I feel like, that he's made more of a priority, which he should have at the time. I think it's perfect. If you look back, man, of course, if this could have happened 5 years later, great. But you own a house now, your family's settled, like, you have these things that you stuck around and did, right? That's called priorities.
100%.
But you're never fully out of the gym.
Oh, never. I was fully out of the gym. Still working 60 hours a week and still going to the gym, practicing, doing my runs in the morning. Yep. I remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning before having to get to work at 6 o'clock, cold outside when it's winter. And I'm out on the treadmill because my treadmill can't be inside. Yep. It's outside. So I'm out on the treadmill and it's cold. I got my stuff on.
And you're still working. That was great. But not able to make it to the gym. Exactly. Right? Because those are the work you had to do before you went to work.
All the extra jiu-jitsu that I'm doing, the striking classes that we're doing regularly, right? I was just making practice basically. I was, as long as I can make our fight team practice back then, that was like perfect. I made fight team practice and then I tried to get my extra work outside, and coach was okay with that, but he always said like, hey, Marcus, you're going to be great once you get here, once you dedicate. And it's been showing. You can see through everything that we're doing constantly and we're putting in that. It's just a constant work. It's not even inside a camp anymore. It's just what we do. Tuesdays, Thursdays, what we do is we work on our striking from 8 to 9. Between 9 and 11, we're doing jiu-jitsu or strength and conditioning. It's like, this is just part of life, and every day we're getting better with those things. It's just a whole nother world.
You're just getting to touch up and hit the brush on those things every day and the weaknesses versus every day at practice. Or, you know what I mean? It's 2-a-day check marks now, and I love that.
Yeah, 100%.
But he's where he is because he's always kind of been the way he is.
I love that.
There's some guys that need to switch over or change what they have. I feel like Marcus has changed a whole lot, man. You feel like you have?
No, I don't feel like I have.
You've always been a great father and a great friend and a great person to be around. Nothing's even when you're selfish, you're still willing to do what needs to be done for the team.
I don't think there's really a high level of that selfishness from this dude anyway.
Selfless, but you have to be selfish in this sport. I feel like you pick that time well. It's balance. That's what that's called, right?
And I had to learn how to do that balance part because again, I wasn't being that right, and that a lot of that led to me not being as active as we wanted to be able to be active because I wasn't being selfish. And there's a time and a way to be selfish, right? And I had to learn that. I had to learn to do that because again, my priorities are the things in life that I feel like matter the most: my family, my friends, the things that are going on, like our structure, my kids' well-being, their mental sanity. Like all that stuff has always been so important to me, coming from the upbringing that I had and what I want to change as far as the scope of my family's and the next generation. That's been my focus. So like, that's why I was like so adamant about making sure that I was building and structuring something that I can go back to and at least they have something. So like you said, like, I feel like it was right on time. Except there was a reason I was supposed to get us set up. There's a reason why I was supposed to be embedded.
This team behind you and everybody too, right?
Exactly. Exactly. One thing I want to get into is like we talked about it a little bit over along fight week, but Paragon striking, right? Something I didn't even know about it, right? What is the meaning behind Paragon striking? Your Paragon style striking, which is your.
So the definition of Paragon is a person or thing doing anything to the highest degree, to the perfect ability, the perfect example of. So that's just something I like to carry into our Paragon striking. We are a person doing the best version of something that is out there. So
Paragon striking.
Post that on the thumbnel. Paragon. Yep, Paragon.
Yeah. It's on the back of my truck too. I don't have any stickers. That's the only sticker I have on the back.
It's a magnet.
Is that something you created?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's his entity.
So
that is brilliant.
There's a big backstory to a lot of that, a little bit. It gets a little lengthy, but
and it's a system, right? It's more of a system than anything.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Let's talk about this. This is great.
It's a striking system that I've created. I have another gym that I have affiliation, and one in New York as well. We're about to get one probably in Wales here.
Congratulations.
Eventually. So it's a striking system that's taught inside of these gyms. It's a belted system. You go from white belt and go all the way to black belt. But you have to know certain base structure techniques. So it's taken and born into a traditional martial arts sense, right?
Which I love the idea of that.
Yeah, a traditional martial arts sense. And that works for a lot of the people that it works for a lot of the people, the belting system, as far as it don't have a lot of plans on competing, right? The Paragon striking system. I want to keep people involved that want to learn proper technique. And if they become that, great. So that's where the schools and the affiliation derives. Now, the Paragon striking system that I teach to the fighters, it's on a whole nother level as far as like safety, technique. Now, they both collide with each other, right? The system is the same as far as like some of the call outs and numbers, but the technique requirements on the higher end of the fighters is
because we're using them in a real dangerous,
using them at a real dangerous level.
100%.
And there's a big difference. I can teach this to this group, right? And they can make the technique the same, and then have the fighters in the same room, but the application has to be different, right? The distance 100%. Is what comes down to it. So I started my Paragon striking system when I was over at the Fight Ready MMA gym. We used to be a Bang Muay Thai affiliation over there, which is Bang Muay Thai, TJ Dillashaw, and all them. We ran the Bang Muay Thai system for about 8 months, and I ended up helping Henry fight TJ.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Dwayne had messaged me and said, hey, I want to put the affiliation on hold. You know, I had like $6,000 in testing fees. He was supposed to come out and test a bunch of our students, right? Mm-hmm. And he calls me and goes, hey, let's put the testing on hold until Henry and TJ fight. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. You know, gave a bunch of refunds back to people, and it was kind of strange, kind of weird. And kept teaching Bang Muay Thai while I'm cornering Henry Cejudo to fight TJ Dillashaw. And that's kind of why I was involved. I knew a little bit of their system over at Bang Muay Thai. And then we beat TJ. I cornered Henry, beat TJ. Dwayne texts me, let me know that he's not interested in being an affiliate of ours anymore, conflict of interest or whatever. So I understood. So I went about my own way and received took a 12-hour black belt test in Taekwondo. And I already have a black belt in karate as a younger kid. And then a Golden Gloves boxing, pugilist when I was a kid. So this is a mixture of me being able to teach boxing, karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai. All this stuff is associated together.
So you're an assassin, is what you're.
Yeah,
he won't say it, but he definitely is. And guys get to realize that. Again, being from the gym, I've watched good guys come in there and look at him and go, okay, this is gonna be my off round. And then they realize that this is not their offer.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man.
I am in trouble.
I hope to get in there and just get busy, right? Just get your shit moving and get my shit going. And I'm going to get hit, but it's like, it's not what you do
that's
next.
horrifying because you're like, to me, I'm looking at you like that would like amplify you. And then even to where you're creating a system, Paragon
and I'm definitely
striking.
better now. I'm definitely better at there's a lot of the techniques that I can do, but I teach Southpaw and I teach Orthodox. I'm more of a Southpaw-based fighter. But there's some things that I can teach now that I can't do in a live setting, and that's okay.
Yeah,
I can do it in a drilling format, show you proper technique. There's some things I haven't put live on this side yet, but I know the game because I've been training so many Orthodox guys. But the whole point of the Paragon striking system is just to be a well-rounded stand-up fighter and understand the safeties, right? The negatives and the positives and the position where you're standing, Orthodox and Southpaw, what the risks are of throwing a jab, what the downfall is of checking it, everything, right? Just knowing the full knowledge. And for me, it's a beautiful thing when you can make it so simple. And that comes from not just me, that's from all the coaches I've learned from over the world. Sure. I could get into a long list right now if I shared all their names, but whether I've met them personally or they've influenced me through watching or instructionals that I've had to do or travels I made and coaches corners that I've done, it's just me about the best guys in the world. Take what's working the best, right? And you fit it into what you do. And I feel like that's what I do and we do good at the lab.
Beautiful.
And that's what I was going to say. That's in anything, period. That's in any industry and anything, right? Yeah. Simplicity is the key, right?
Yeah.
You make everything as simple as possible, and it's like everything. Usually, the most successful people say those things.
Samsung took from iPhone took some features from Samsung. Now you got like the perfect phones now.
Yeah, and it's like they have to really go out of their way to separate what the difference is between them now, because it's like, hey, we're not going to rewrite the script. We know what works, right? Now we just got to put a little something in there to give ours a twist.
For sure. And it comes to drilling. Like, how are we coming in here and running these drills to make this second nature?
Yep.
Not towards high impact fighting, but doing the boring drills that no one wants to do over and over and over. That's the difference in the fighting platform of the Paragon striking for me versus your traditional martial arts gym. Now, Marcus could 100% learn a little bit, right? Even now, if he came and did it, but it's at a slower speed, right? As far as like when I say slower speed, it's a long combination.
Sure.
Right? Whatever, blah. Let's break that down now on this side. Let's just do a quarter of that and really make that perfect. That's where the patience and the focus of a fighter comes in, or a competitor.
Yeah. I'm loving that side of it as the application part.
Yeah.
I'm really hanging on to that aspect where you're having the same teachings.
Yeah. You put that.
Yeah. You're having the same teachings. You're doing a lot of the same drills, but you're making them apply it in a different way.
I train them the same as I train the fighters.
Right.
I don't get out of them or the focus. Not yet. The goal is to build that, right? Now, if amongst any of those times that we're talking about, just like the UFC gym, if I get a group of guys in there in that gym where they're just excelling and their intensity's high and they show up all the time and they show they want to compete, I'm going to tell them to go where you compete at. We go to the lab. Just like we're at the UFC gym. That was my same system I'm teaching, all my same stuff. There was no name to it. We were just running what I knew and my knowledge and learning as we go, right? And now it has a system and it has a name, right? That's the only difference. And then don't go to UFC gyms. Go here. It's the same thing. If I run into any talent I feel like is inside inside a bunch of minnows and they're a shark, I'm going to give them the suggestion. But some guys just want to stay with the minnows.
And 100%. And it's kind of crazy because, like going back to Aaron Faber, which was like my minnow part, because we were training out of a gym. There was only 4 of us. We were all different sizes, and it was hard. We all built the gym together. It was a great experience. And like, I love that coach. He's going to be a part of my family, not just like my story for life, but like he's one of my favorite people ever. But I knew I had to make different changes, right? But going back to it, he was such a great coach. And the things that he taught me were so crazy. This is how life is crazy. Everything that he taught me ended up fading into everything that me and Randy do.
Sweet.
So it's crazy how it got integrated. And that's why I really, even later on, became more so with Randy too, because I was like, man, everything, all the angles that we're doing, all the feints, everything that we're doing, running different traps, like all those things, it's like they kept on compounding. And then me and Randy really started to click. And then it was like constantly, every time we started doing anything, it was like, oh, we're going to add, like from the basics to just putting a little bit of spice to each little thing,
Little fit-ins. Right?
That transition had to be, I mean, it sounds easy.
And now it's amazing, like, because honestly, like every time we don't, because again, like we hit when we hit, but like when we do hit, it's like making music, because it's like we don't necessarily focus on one or two things, but it's like we just go into these things and there's so much.
It's a fight almost. It's like a moving fight, and I'm not trying to just set combo, set combo, 20 punch combination. It's a feel, and I don't have that with a lot of guys. It's hard to build, and I didn't realize that until a couple years ago. That's very special.
I'm using this in my world. If I could kind of talk on that. Having that with different employees, you recognize kind of like their skill level or the way that they're actually, even if they don't have a lot of skills, the way that they're learning, the way that they're adapting, their attitude and their willingness to want to learn and do things and get in there. I'm applying a lot of these same teachings to, many different people, and a lot of them are stuck in the mud. A lot of them, I'm like, hey, you can be running this place without me. And they have, and they have. And that's kind of like the difference between like a lot of that stuff you're talking about, like actual leaders or ones that at least let go of that ego part. Because I'm still doing it all the time. Like my dad and his partnership, they're teaching me constantly. Yeah. And if I was a little arrogant asshole, there's a lot of it I wouldn't be able to adapt. But having that, like now you got me like on this paragon, striking, but I'm using it in my own way, thinking like,
because you have all this, you feel like, oh man, look at where I'm at, dude. Oh man, I'm that guy. I should just, it's hard. You should be that guy, but you got to be open to learning and applying.
Well, you're teaching me right now. Like you're talking and I'm thinking of situations back here for even the kitchen guys. I'm like, why have I not?
There's a term that really helped me, and you could take it into working too. I'm not sure if Greg Jackson kind of made it famous, but there's a term called OODA, OODA loop. Observe, orientate, decide, action.
I remember that.
Observe, orientate, decide, action. And that always stuck with
beautiful.
me. I heard it's a fighter pilot term that they use for fighter pilots. When you chase down, you see someone, you observe, you orientate, you decide, and you make an action. And as soon as you do that, the plane doesn't blow up. The plane moves. You have to orientate. Observe, orientate, decide, action. Again, observe, orientate. So I think that's what fighting is. And when you can run that in your everyday life, you're around here, you're observing, right?
All the time.
You orientate your decisions, you decide, and then you make an action, right?
That's awesome.
And then you just get back on that loop again. Yep. That's work.
That's life.
That's work. Yeah, that's life.
Well,
that's life. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, my grandfather always called it like the dude's half bionic, right? He's got all the shoulders, all hips and knees, but like when I was telling him, man, just relax. Like, settle down. If I stop moving, I die. Yeah. But he's still learning. And he's one of the men that I'm like, how could you still be teaching lessons? You're done teaching. He was Vietnam vet, coal mine worker, cattle rancher. Like the guy did everything. Yeah. And I'm looking at him and I'm looking at you guys, like your level of dedication, your discipline, also now getting to know this back end of stuff where there's a system behind it. There's a reason why, like hearing your story kind of evolved to this pinnacle, if you will, of the paradox striking.
Paragon.
Our paragon.
Okay.
Excuse me, paragon striking.
Could be a paradox.
Yeah. I don't know where that word
inside of a paradox.
But yeah, hearing that and then seeing what it's developed to, but it's so much more like the flood of what it's meaning and having that. And being able to apply it in different worlds and different industries, that's where I'm bought in, man. I'm bought in on it.
Because I love Paragon, and coach has been using the term Ubuntu lately.
Ubuntu. So you saw my post this morning.
Oh, I didn't get a chance. I've been in the gym.
Yeah, Ubuntu. Yeah, like that. That's one thing that's been resonating with me.
We are what?
We are I am because we are, right? And that's not even just like in the fighting road, right?
No,
it's like every single person who has come into your life and leading to that, like people are, a lot of people are like there's this whole thing in this day and age where it's like, I'm self-made, I did it all on my own, I ain't need nobody. And again, I'm not even hating. I'm not even hating on that. Like whatever you need to do to feel how you need to feel, right? But you're lying to yourself and you're lying to all the people that have even took 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute to do anything for you in your whole life, because those little actions that you take for granted made you who you are, and it's
every
like
piece of it.
It's like you don't have to go ahead and give every single person credit for everything that they've ever done, but dude, if you don't at least give them the credit inside your own heart, inside your own body, then you're not paying respect to the fact that these are all things that help grow and build you to be a better human being.
Honest with yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Paragon's born from that. He's saying he had the list you can go on for days. Yeah. So Paragon's born from that.
It's inbred from all the things that I've learned, things that I've learned from him, and things that I've taught him, and things. Do you know what I mean? There's the guys that I train, there's things I can't do, but I see how it's applied. So it's going into our system. Yeah. Right? Especially for him. Because at the point now, everyone's got a jab, everyone's got a cross, everyone has a kick, has the teep and the head kick. It's about how we serve it up kind of on our list. Like we have to understand, when I land a jab, that there's more openings of, okay, he parried the jab. Now I can feint and go to the calf kick. Now that I hit him in the calf kick, I could probably fake and go to a hook. You know what I mean? Like those are the things that are hard that now I find myself loving to teach is, okay, when you do this, we usually draw this out of the guy or the pros and cons of type things, Yeah. But yeah.
I could go on for days with this right now because I'm bought in. I just want you to know
how many days exactly?
A lot. Well, hopefully it's not Mondays because Adrian
join the Paragon striking system.
She's like, she comes and grabs you by the ears.
Yeah, we're done.
Get over here.
This Paragon shit.
Yeah. You better be a Paragon at home with these dishes.
I'm a black boy, yeah.
We have a lot of clothes that need to be ironed.
It's a Paragon pull day.
You could be a Paragon, iron clothes.
Let's go.
Yeah,
let's start getting out of Paragon
at home.
I just said, I need you to be a Paragon at home now.
Yeah. I want to go on this. You were talking about maybe trying to jump back in and get another fight in.
Yeah.
Or getting competitive. What's brewing right there?
See, that's what I go to terms with, right? Like I have so much in my head. I'm like, man, okay, Eric's fighting. Forget the guy's fight. I got to make sure we do this. And I'm like, On's got this fight on the 19th. We got to make sure we do this because this happened. So I find my thoughts there all the time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's tough, man.
That goes back to the selfishness. You have to be selfish to kind of take yourself away from all of that.
But when I go to your fights and I see you where you're at and what we've accomplished, and I'm like, man, I have the same abilities, but it's going to take the same commitment, right? Yeah. The same commitment. But what does that mean for all of the things that I've already put on my shoulders already?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So forgive me. Is this boxing or is this?
I would say MMA.
Okay.
If I went back to compete again.
Because he's also a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so don't get choked out, Look at the ears. That didn't come from boxing. What's so funny? A lot of people don't know that cauliflower ear comes from jiu-jitsu, not boxing.
They all think it's from boxing and wrestling.
Which I did too. That's how naive I was. All my brothers and them still think that. I just told them, I was like, no, that comes from grappling.
From the left hook. A younger, got hit with the left hook a bunch. This one did. It started it, and then all of a sudden jiu-jitsu made it worse. You can get it from punches. It's not as common.
Yeah, and I think it just goes away easier too when you get it.
It's not a friction rub because you don't get back. You can just put headgear on. You're not rubbing up against something and making it worse.
The next day going to jiu-jitsu and they get you in a collar choke and you're trying to get out of it. And
I got this one from a head and arm choke. I had a head and arm choke on someone and he bridged and rolled his arm out and then just went in the middle of camp. So you can't take a day off, right? That thing was blown up.
And then you're training for weeks on it, you know?
Yeah, you have to, dude.
And then that's where it all comes into play, you know? So
you have to, man.
So like I said, you're a registered assassin. You're thinking about
I would more think of myself as a registered splinter.
Master Splinter.
Registered Splinter. I'll fuck you up for about 7 minutes, right? How much does Splinter have? I'm sure he's got a energy bar.
There you go.
You remember he would get tired. Remember one of them, he'd be fucking the dudes up, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, need help from the turtles. That's totally me. They'd be like, oh shit, Splinter's got this. And if it ain't conjuncted in about 6 minutes, you gotta help me.
Yeah, when what is it? Shredder, he's tearing Shredder up, bro. Shredder had no chance, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, my back.
My back, yeah. Jack, I need Marcus.
Leonardo, gotta tell him.
I'm more of an assassin mind.
I got you.
I don't claim to be anything like I go in there and fuck up these guys anymore. You know, I'll give them a good look and give them a good run, but there's a little bit of difference of what they're doing nowadays and what I'm doing, right?
I'm just calling you an assassin. You're a deadly individual. I'm probably going to stand behind Marcus whenever we get to leave.
I'll fuck up the common person, probably. Hopefully still. Hit him with the yab, dude. Yap.
Yeah, I would. That, dude. So when do you like? Are you going to think about making a decision soon? Are you?
Man, I want to, and then I see in the thing, which we got fucking Jared coming up with Vittori, and then Eric Anders, and then on. I'm like, I would have to, dude. Do you know what I mean? Well, think about it, right? Think about this. How would you like this? This is how I think. If I was a fighter and a competitor, right? And we got this team and there's people that I can depend on. And all of a sudden, my coach is always there for me. Goes, hey, I got to fight.
Yep. Yep. No.
And he goes, oh. Okay, I won't be here Mondays, Fridays, and Tuesdays because I'll be doing this because it's going to have to be.
Yep, right. For you to be successful on your fight, right? For you to focus on you being successful. Yeah, no. 100%.
It's a ripple effect, yeah.
That's how I feel about it, bro. I wouldn't want that. The guy that's day in, day out, I know someone's riding with me. And then you're naturally going to say, because, great, yeah, man, do it. But at the same time, I'm pulling away from the things that we're doing.
I got you.
And that's not me coming from a lazy place because I love to work, man. I don't give a shit about none of that. Mm-hmm. Like if there's no one hitting pads, I'll jump into class.
But there's no way you can, Eric Anders is a huge dude. Imagine you being in fight camp and then holding mitts for Eric, holding mitts for Jared, holding mitts for me, Jack Anglet, Ano, you know what I'm saying? Doing that. And then you also train, that is something, and from my perspective, the moment you took a fight, I would already in my mind be like, bro, I'm not asking you for any. Yeah. Can I hold for you today?
Yeah, and that's not what we should be doing, right?
Exactly, especially if in the coaching set, right? And even though we want to see you chase that, if you did make that decision, I would tell everybody hey, he's not coaching anymore. He's not coaching. He's training partner now. Yeah, you guys got to give him that.
That's different too, though, right?
100%.
Well, dude, how would you feel what was the first thing you would think if you saw a headline that said Trevor Whitman's fighting? Got a fight coming up. You would be like, wow, who's training Kamaru? Mm-hmm. Who's training That's how I feel. It would kind of, because Trevor would have to step away. Mm-hmm. Well, who's making the gloves? Yeah. We can't get no gloves.
Yeah.
Something's gonna be wrong with the gloves.
Or you're gonna be like, oh, is he even taking this thing seriously? No. Is he think he's gonna hold mitts for Kamaru Usman and then go in there and fight this guy? It
just doesn't sound right either, man. I don't know.
But you're content with coaching, though. I mean,
for sure. If I went back to compete again, it would just be because I want to compete and I love it.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be to and if things went well, I'd love to make it to the big spot. But imagine that though, right?
Yeah. Which we all do believe in him still, and we've talked about that too, right?
Yeah, but could you imagine? I mean, that would be great. I mean, that would seem like you just take a lot. Be a father, and then a full-time training partner, and then be a full-time coach. Something would suffer, man.
Which 100%. We didn't talk about the fathering part about it as well.
Something would suffer.
You have what, 3 girls, 1 boy?
Yeah, 3 girls. My girlfriend's got a boy. Mm-hmm. I got an 18-year-old daughter, 14-year-old daughter, and now a 15-month-old daughter. So yeah.
I cannot imagine being the boyfriend of one of these dudes.
So he actually
a perfect girl dad. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
my father is an assassin. You know, like try something.
But that's the thing about being an assassin too, and being a girl dad. You have because if you're an assassin, you have a girl dad, right? And you're a girl dad, automatically it's going to be a problem, right? So we have to find a way to still have that relationship with them, but not scare them away to make them decide that they're going to be terrible toward us too, because they got to know,
do things in despite of.
Exactly. They got to know that it's really out of love and not out of us wanting to be the alpha male, right? Yeah. Because that's what you see these movies and all these dudes want to be alpha male. Pull the dude into the room, you know, get up on him, you know, scare him and everything. And like, there's a way to go about doing that. And I like the way 50 Cent did it.
I was gonna say, I was literally about to say,
the way he did it and had his homies in there and didn't go crazy on him. Calmly, as a man, showed him the difference between a man and a boy. You know what I'm saying? And just let him know, hey, I'm the man in her life,
for sure,
and you're the boy in her life. And believe me, that's all right. But I'm the man in her life, and until you become the man in her life, just understand that it's real over here, you know? So, I mean, coming from the outside and just on that subject, I've always appreciated, you know, you as a father as well, and
thanks,
you
man.
with your kids. And I know we all go through our things and everything, but again, I know your kids pretty well. They know my kids, you know, and I've known them since they were really, really young, and just the relationship that you've built with them and everything that you've put into your family. And that's something I've always appreciated about you too, because that's something that not everybody has in them, you know, to do that.
Thick or thin, their priority, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
No matter what's going on. Same with you though, man. You've been like, that's what's always like, man, Marcus is one of the best, could be, and it doesn't matter how good you are, it matters about who knows how good you are. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm like, but the whole time, whatever kept me from just, you know, like, what the fuck are you fucking doing, dude? Get your fucking ass in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dumping that shit on him is because you know how important that is and how that can't suffer. You know, your kids can't go without because your kids and family can't sleep in a car because you want to make it to the practice in the morning and at night, and you just fuck it, whatever, we'll figure it out. No, dude, that's not how things are done.
Yeah,
no.
And especially for me, I couldn't do that, you know, and that would have been detrimental to even my training career, because I would have came to the gym every day and I would have felt less than. I would have felt like I was failing them, and if I'm failing them, I can't be pushing forward, right? I got to be doing right by them, even if it's not for glorious reasons, because it wasn't glorious, you know. It wasn't glorious grinding every day and being in those positions. I love cannabis. I love what I do. I love working hard. I love being a part of a team, and then I never knew I loved being a leader either. I love being a leader. I love being able to sit down with people that disagree and really go through things and pick people's minds and understand the difference in what we're saying and how we can bring those things together and be successful all together still, right? So I love that, but that wasn't as glorious as coming in and being the UFC fighter and you know, and training every day and being this young stud. You know, it wasn't as glorious as that felt, but I knew in my heart I couldn't just jump into it, because I knew I wanted to make sure that my kids knew first and foremost that I was there. I was going to be there every day for them, and that they meant the most to me ever. And they know that, you know.
I see it.
It's
and I think that's my favorite part of growing relationships, and even just from coach to like to you, or even just employee to me, is that when you know that person's making the right decision in their life, you're making the right decision. So when you come together and work together, you know things are taken care of on each side, and that's where it's able to grow farther. So even if you have to snap on somebody, you know that they're going to take it with the best intentions, the best criticism possible. You're doing it to help them. They're not doing it from. It's not coming from a bad place. And it's not like you're hammering them because, like, you know, they're a piece of shit. You're hammering them because there's an expectation level and it wasn't fulfilled, and now you're catching them in a moment where you're like, button it up. And you know that they are able to trust you with that type of response.
And that's what I feel like he always knew too, because me and Crouch would always tell him. And then when he did make it full time, he was having a hard time finding fights. And I think him and Crouch, like they said, they talked every single day, and it was like, you know, watching what you eat every day for like 6 months. And that takes discipline, man. And I feel like that's what I want to get across with Paragon's striking system is discipline. And that's just like anything. And him and On are probably the highest example of that. Do you know what I mean? As far as what I teach and the style I have, they've adopted it the best. And I can't leave Cannonier. Cannonier is really put in the work, man. He's a specimen of his own, but I feel like the things that I have just even said or pointed out, or little adjustments we've made, has taken his knowledge and he's just ran with it, created his own stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. His shielding program that he based his his shielding off of the Paragon striking is like so
he's taught
sick.
me things, and that's what I think is all about growth. You know, you work one thing, and I'm like, man, I never even thought about how important that is. Yeah. I'll see guys do stuff. That everyone needs to know that. That's one of those baselines that I feel like everyone should have an idea of, right? Yeah. Even if you don't plan on doing it every day, you should see that. And that's what I get from him and Marcus. I'm learning from them as well.
So is there any way, like as we're dimming this down, that I don't know, like a Joe Schmo like me, to follow like what this program is, or even like, do you have a following? Is there is there something like for like Paragon?
I have a couple gyms out here in Arizona. One's in Scottsdale. It's Coquanis Martial Arts. It's right off of McDonald. And then I have one right on Peoria. It's at a gym called Usella Martial Arts. And they have class times where I go in there. We teach Paragon striking system. You have to reach 40 hours before you're able to test for your yellow belt. You set things you have to learn. You have to perform them in front of the other students, in front of the class. Get your certificate. And the goal for those guys is because you know the difference in, and again, focus, right? Or intentions behind it. You get people who want to train but don't want to compete. I was a guy who just wanted to train and didn't want to compete. I didn't even know. I started training and I got good and I wanted to compete. It's because I stuck with it, right? Yep. Same thing. Yep. But you know, these people over here, they're gonna lose interest in the class, right? A class like a martial arts class, what's the combo of the day, or what combo are we hitting today? But when them as a student shows up and they learn a set thing they have to memorize, right? You know, a lot of students don't want to miss Thursday when they come on Tuesday because they know they're going to miss out on something. So it's about, you know, you lose attrition in students in traditional martial arts where there's a type of reward at the end or a medal, right? These guys don't need medals. These guys are they're substance, not symbols. These guys are symbols, not sustenance. I love that. Right? Do you know what I mean?
So if you don't see a black belt or something on me, just understand that's what it is.
I'm not getting better, or this isn't fun. That's what keeps people from, after 3 months, they quit and drop out. That's why jiu-jitsu, you're starting to see a lot of people stick around or in traditional martial arts because there's a system, there's a reward, there's this. But fighters, I don't feel like they don't want that at all. The last fucking thing they want is to be praised. The ones that I fuck with anyway. The last thing they want is a good job. They don't need a cheerleader. They want the sensei and they want the coach. You know what I mean? The coach asks them, where you been? You should have been here a little bit. Or, you know, sensei, where have you been? You should have been here on time. Holding you accountable, and then the coach who shows you the little details. You don't want the guy who needs a cheerleader all the time. But that's that different setting, right? Sure. And then a lot of guys grow out of that setting and come here. A lot of guys live in that setting forever, and that's fine. Right? That's fine. They might, you know, and there's, but that starts to breed a little bit of weirdness. And this and that. You know what I mean? Ego, right? Weird ego, and it's like a closed off ego. But my job, I feel like, is to not breed that in the gym. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. As a coach, let you know. I could have Marcus on and Abdul and Cannoneer all training in the same class. I have all these guys, and they could all be doing the same technique,
working with each other, integrated. All
but it's the intent behind it, right? They're over here like, gotta look perfect. These guys want to make it look real. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So there's a difference, right?
Perfect and real are two different things, right? Live, because we're thinking live all the time. We're thinking about this person's going to be in front of me. They're going to shift. It's not going to be a mitt. It's not going to be a glove. It's not for the technique's sake. This is for what was the word you used?
Application.
This is for application purposes, right?
Yeah, that's different, right?
Yeah. So I guess lead into the last question that I really have for you. If you, I've had a lot of young fighters hit me up after the fight, just kind of asking me like, what, you know, because I'm 32, like they're like, obviously like, oh, how did you get to where you are? What made you, how did you stay what you did? And what do you think I can make it? If you had any advice to give to these young guys, you know, 20 years old, maybe just starting it, what advice would you give these young fighters?
Find a good gym with a good coach.
You want to say that loud one more time?
Find a good gym with a good coach, right? Not just anybody. Do your fucking research, do your homework if you're serious about it, right? And go in, shut the fuck up, and show up every day. That's like it. Don't beautiful. Talk. Don't try to be best friends, people, man. Like, that's the gym setting. I want you to come in. I want you to be respectful. I want you to say, yes, sir, and then just do. Don't be like, oh, man, I was going to make it like I said, but it was, even if you say you're coming on Monday and you don't, and you show up on Tuesday, don't even fucking come up to me and tell me why you didn't come in on Monday. I don't want to hear
work.
it. Just come in, work, ask the questions about what we did, and then go home. And then show up again the next day.
On time.
On the time. Yeah, try to get better. Be quiet.
Yep.
Ask the proper questions. But it starts with finding a good coach and then someone you trust. You find a good coach, someone you don't trust, and maybe you should try to find somewhere else, right?
100%.
We're talking about striking.
Yeah, I'm talking about just in general.
Yeah,
MMA,
this sounds like
That's anything in life, though, right?
And I always say that it always applies to life, right? And that's why mixed martial arts paid such a dividends to my life and changing the person I am, right? It's because, again, I've applied it to my life, you know, and it will be applied to my life even if it wasn't for me even making it to the UFC, you know. It will be applied to my life for the rest of my life, and I'm going to be a better, stronger husband, father, community man, period, based off these same principles, right?
We've dealt with this. We've dealt with turmoil, and you deal with pressure and conflict, and 100%. You need to take that. That's the highest level,
I agree.
Dude. You could take that same patience and focus and wherewithal into a normal, everyday application, you know, with different, different emotions. You should be able to get through anything, man.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
That's like the amendments of the assassin. That's what I'm calling right there. The amendments
of
from
the assassin.
Yeah,
we're putting that. That's gonna be the next clothing line coming up.
Bing.
Assassin amendments. Get ready for it.
Everything that he's that's what I'm saying. I was making sure
somebody hits us up. You guys really need to make this.
Yeah, but I'm still young, man. I'm still adding things into what I do. I'm only 36. You know what I mean? Like I'm still putting things into what I'm doing. I don't think I'm the best out there, but one day I will probably hope to be up there on the list, but I'm so young. I haven't done that much. I still have a humble attitude, show up and give attitude, or have great attitude and give good effort, and just keep trusting the people around me that say the things that I trust what they're saying, and even the good and the bad things, right?
100%.
And just try to get better at it and be a better coach and a better father. And I just want my guys to be the fucking most violent, safest people in the world.
I love that.
That's the best, right? Violent and safe.
Yeah. People don't think that you could do that, but
let's keep
good.
going. Yeah, I mean, well, we got to wrap this one up. I love the amendments of the assassin. I think that's pretty tight. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna wait for a shirt.
Well, what is this pint that we're?
The chugga pie.
We just dropped this, dude. What's up, bro?
Yeah, all right. I'll be right back. Let me go
fill it up with water.
Yeah, 7.5. But before we do that, you want to tell the people where they can find you?
Randy Steinke MMA on Instagram. I have an instructional program, RandySteinkeMMA.com. I also have on dynamicstriking.com is some of the best stuff. They're awesome. Go check out Dynamic Striking. They've really done some good things for the whole community of striking. So I got to give a lot of props to those guys. Come down to the lab if you really want to get better. So just show up, from kids to adults to fighters to no experience. We'll help you find a home.
Awesome. And I'm the Maniac McGee. You can find me at Maniac_McGee on Instagram, or you can find me on Twitter at Maniac McGee07. I got a TikTok as well, but I don't know what that actually says. Just look up Maniac McGee. You'll find it. And then YouTube channel as well.
One.
Yeah.
Maniacal Maniac.
And I'm at Brett Anthony M. If you don't go on my Instagram, which is fine, come down to Elevated Tap Room, and I'll be serving up pints and everything as I get this man one over here.
Maybe punches if you like.
Hey, maybe
punches and points.
Yep, and nachos for Marcus.
Nachos. I'm getting them.
What?
You already know I'm getting them.
I heard about it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you gotta get him. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate you. Good for you.
Here's the pint. Let's get going. That does look like a mighty nice pint in there.
There you
what
go.
flavor did you give him?
Acai.
Ooh,
5%.
The acai,
Soft.
5%.
Whoa, easy.
That's how you know it's good.
You're going to have to keep that glass.
Yeah, take it to the head. Take it to the...